So, deep down, really, you're it. It's you. Always was. Always has been. But you're not supposed to know that, and I'm not supposed to say that. Tatvamasi. That is a phrase in Sanskrit, and we spell that with 3 words in English. It's just one in Sanskrit. Tatvamasi. You're it. You. And there it is. I had it pretentiously tattooed on my wrist a couple years ago. And that's not the only bit of Sanskrit I have. I have this phrase over here. I debated very heavily on telling you what that means, because what does it mean to mean something? But I'll tell you how it's pronounced. Bodhisattva. And I have this one, which is the Om symbol in Sanskrit. Looks a little different, but I got it right over where my heart beats. So yeah, buddy, I'm super pretentious with this stuff. Although, again, I'm not serious about it. There are, really, aside from polytheism, which is basically the same thing, if we're talking about Hinduism, I was once told that they have a god for everything. Literally everything. And that's not the case. It simply is in their tradition that everything is God. And so if I imagine a God outside of here, which is all-knowing, all-wise, just out of sight, and all-powerful, and I see a young child with cancer, I tend to get pretty pissed off at this thing. But if you start to realize that everything there is God, it is what there is, and you see somebody in trouble, that is God. God didn't do that. He's in the middle of some shit. And if you say that to somebody who is an American or from the West, it does not compute. Because if you were going to say that everything is God, then where's the devil? Well, the devil's God too. The dark side. But people cannot wrap their heads around that, because our culture is so dead set on duality, on making everything into black and white, and you have to pick one. You cannot like gray, you cannot like both at the same time. Why in the hell not? And just because this idea is a little extraño, it's a little strange. Explore it if you wish. I, for one, found it to be very interesting. And it's kind of like the yin-yang. You know, you have dark and light, and the two together equal, it's like a whole thing or something. Because it ruins the game, and the show must go on. And that's something else that always bothered me, because I would like to not have to lie to people. I have never heard somebody say, you know what, please lie to me and preserve my illusions, and just let me feel good. I mean, I could respect that. I'd probably do it. But everybody says they want the damn truth. Everybody. Well, you don't. And then as soon as you start challenging some of their core beliefs and poking some holes in it, and they might kill you over that. That's why I told you 100 million times not to watch this video, to turn it off. That everything that I might tell you might ruin everything for you. Now, this is very powerful information. And again, I don't know anything. Could be wrong. But some people, when they hear this, wind up with an inflated ego. And they think that, you know, the world is just their toy and they can do whatever they want to anybody around them. This can be very dangerous. You tend to have people that this tends to happen like on psychedelics, I guess. But you tend to have these people that, you know, will just get naked and run in the street and scream, "I'm Jesus Christ." Well, as I've said before, of course you are. But I don't think you should get naked and go in the street and say that. It's not going to change anything. Somebody's going to get annoyed or offended, and they're going to lock you up and throw you in a cage. Or worse, a nut house. And again, I don't want to give you advice, don't want to tell you anything. Listen to my voice as though it's music. Take everything with a grain of salt. But if at some moment you see this to be the case, the secret is just to be cool. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't get an ego over it. Don't even really try to express it. So we really only have a few taboos in our society here in the West. Death, probably, something that we hush up about, and something that it's not a good thing to talk about during a joyous occasion or in polite company, which I find super sad, because it's just the other side of the coin. And if you think there's some kind of a point to all this, in other words, an end result, the end result is death. And in other words, life is simply a preparation for the point, which is you dying at the end. Sex, in this day and age, probably not. I mean, casual sex in this day and age is sold and bought like a commodity. It's easier sometimes and faster to get than a pack of cigarettes. And you can see just about anybody naked on the internet that you want to these days. Above all else, if somebody proclaims that they are God, I think that's probably the craziest thing that you could possibly do. Which is crazy because it's the truth. But that doesn't mean that you're it and everything else is just make-believe, or the one grain of sand is not the beach, man. So I'm not trying to take an egotistical point of view. I'm God, I'm the boss of this place. No, I'm not. I don't have a clue in hell what you're talking about. My name is Dalton Cowan, and I'm having a lot of fun right now. When I woke up, it was probably the most, just horrible experience. What? Dude, there's no such thing as death. This thing just does its thing and changes form, and this won't last, but it's always what it is. It is what is, was, and always has been. There's no such thing as just the lights go out and you're just stuck in the dark. That is not an experience. And you're already awake. There's no way to sleep. That's the terrifying thing, really. Because when you start wanting to get the hell off of this wheel, oh man, you're in bad shape. Because remember, just the wanting is sufficient enough to be the entire problem. And so we desire. And if we desire not to desire, is that not also desire? Yeah, good luck with everything. Because all at once I realized that I had been this eternal thing. I could not die, not in a way that mattered. And so the fear that I once had of everlasting annihilation, being shoved in the dark forever, in an instant became a much more intense fear of never being able to escape. I've talked a lot about Christianity. So this desire to escape the wheel of birth and death, well, that describes perfectly what the Buddhists refer to as the wheel of life and death, the wheel of becoming, the wheel of dharma. Is that right? I don't think I've got that quite right. I think it's the wheel of samsara. Then what the hell is dharma? I don't know, dude. I'm not a Buddhist. Like I said, I'm not religious. I just have an obsessive, casual interest in this sort of thing. If you're on the edge of the wheel, you will spin very fast at a high velocity. It can be a little crazy. If you move towards the center of the wheel, toward the middle, that is the still point of the wheel. And then it made perfect sense to me why this thing expanded and became all these other things and beings, so it could just interact with itself. In the beginning, according to the Christian tradition, God said, "Let there be light." I think that's probably not complete. I think God might have said, "Let there be light so I can see my way away from where I am and go get lost and have fun." Again, I'm not a person who takes life seriously. But I can't say that I don't take it sincerely. There is a drastic difference between the two that I think most people don't realize. And so I am going to give you actually one little piece of advice. No, let's call it a suggestion. No, let's not call it that even. Do not share this knowledge with children, especially not with small children by age, but I mean of any age. Do not share this information with anyone who is not mature enough to handle it, accept it, and realize that they themselves are not God. They simply happen to be a grain of sand on the beach, which is. If you share this information with the wrong people, under the wrong circumstances, perhaps while using the wrong drugs, or the right drugs, but these people can't handle it, this can become a very, very, very dangerous situation very, very quickly. For whom, I don't know. And for what, no idea. But I'm telling you, and I hope that you hear me, and I hope that you listen. Do not, number one, don't go around waking people, because that's just rude. And do not attempt, force, or even guide somebody to this type of experience who is not of sufficient mental fortitude to handle it. In the same way that we license